You would ask someone how someone's body is dealing with the feeling. Again, he's interested in the body as a means of trying to understand what might be going on. Is someone antsy? Is someone calm? Maybe perhaps these are things that can be positive qualities as well. He also noted that people cannot talk in the now for very long. Very quickly, people are going to want to talk about the past, remember some of those reasons why we got into the situation we are now. Or people are going to want to talk about the future, what they plan on doing, or how they plan on going forward, or what's out there. And that, again, one of our goals as a counselor is to constantly bring people back into the here and the now. How are you feeling it right now in this session kind of talk? And oftentimes he'll often notice that people talk about their feelings like they're detached from them. Like, when I'm afraid, and they're kind of like over there. But again, by asking someone how they are showing fear, and maybe even asking them to act it out right there in the room, how they're showing fear, it brings them back into the present, and it really attaches them to their feelings, and makes them kind of own them a little bit more. It's a way of kind of validating people's feelings, and letting them know that it's okay to experience these things, even if they're negative. So again, we're trying to bring the past into the present. If it's something that happened in the past, let's reenact it. Let's bring the past to the present. Let's bring your dead grandfather into the room. Let's bring your abusive ex-husband into the room. Let's bring whatever it is right into here, right into now. Physically show me how you're going to react to this. Say what you are going to say as a behavior. And get rid of some of this unfinished business, this resentment, this rage, this guilt, this pain or anxiety. We can get rid of it now. Some of these things that began a long time ago, we can finish them here and now. He said that people kind of hit an impasse, a sticking point, a way that they can't fake themselves out of it, and they are accepting of this past impasse, and that they oftentimes won't go any further. It's kind of our job as a counselor of Gestalt therapy to kind of push people to go a little bit further, to kind of stop them before they trail off, and bring them back to the here and now and say, sit in it. Tell me what's going on now. How are you feeling this now? How are you feeling this now? How are you feeling it now? And have them just, like I said, sit in it. And experience it, and make them aware of how they're experiencing it over and over and over again. You're looking for blocked energy. Some of the things that we notice is like choking. Like sometimes people be like, like they just can't kind of get the words out. That's a sign that that's some sort of distress. You hear the expression people getting choked up all the time. These are the kind of things that Gestalt therapists would look for. Or maybe necessarily short breaths. Maybe a sign that someone's kind of panicking or getting racy, or they're getting excited about something. But maybe they don't necessarily know that this is what their body is doing when they're talking about these kind of things. And again, we're trying to highlight that awareness. Another thing that they look for is eye contact. Is the person with you, or are they kind of like throwing off the idea here, there, everywhere, based on their eyes? Are they tight? Are their bodies tight? Or are they numb? Maybe it's like a major moment in someone's life, and they're just completely numb to it. And maybe they don't even necessarily realize they're numb to it. Again, highlighting these things, making them become aware of it, and realizing how they're expressing their emotions is a key component to all this. He talks about contacting the world versus resisting the world, the field, if you will, that we talked about before. Whether we see it, we hear it, we smell it, we touch it, we are constantly in contact and then withdrawing from the world. And that's what healthiness is. We're kind of in the world, and then we're also to ourselves. But sometimes we're either in the world too much, we're too dependent upon the environment, or we're withdrawn too much, and we're not experiencing the world enough, and that's where being unhealthy comes into play. And we're trying to help people create a healthy balance of contact with the world. He says oftentimes people that are unhealthy or have an unhealthy contact with the world end up coping with their emotions and end up using things like resistance and introjection and projection and retroflexion and deflection and confluence. These are all in your text, but they're all basically ways of kind of pushing the world out and not dealing with them, and not dealing with them in an accurate and healthy way. And hopefully through an awareness, we can get people to kind of become a little bit more integrated with the world in a balanced way. Again, our goals of the therapy are to gain an awareness, moment to moment, constantly. Maybe even want to ask yourself, what are you doing right now? Like as you're watching this video, what is your body language doing? And now that I've said it, now what are you doing? Did you just straighten your posture out a little bit more? Did you stop twitching your leg? And now that I just said that, now what are you doing? These are the kind of picky exercises that might seem a little bit annoying. I'm not quite sure, but that's the kind of philosophy that people go about with Gestalt therapy. Again, we're trying to integrate these components of ourselves. Right now, your twitching leg isn't necessarily in conjuncture, in a whole, in a unifying whole with us, and that may or may not be causing a problem. But the awareness itself will help us understand ourselves better and help us kind of move forward in our lives. We're trying to expand someone's capacity to make decisions and choices for themselves, healthy choices. We want people to live in the here and now. We want people to live fully and spontaneously and experience the here and now, rather than always be looking forward and chasing the next thing in the future, or living in the past. We want people to, in a positive way, experience the here and now. There's many different kind of ways that a therapist can get through to someone. They need to be inclusive. They have to be present. They need to have a commitment to the dialogue, and the dialogue needs to be lived. We need to do rather than talk about it. So again, a lot more focus on action and actual doing rather than explaining. So those are kind of key components. There's over 60 Gestalt therapies, workshops, and presentations all around the world. I've been to a couple, and I do recommend you guys checking out some at some point in your life. They're really interesting, and they get you to think about your body and how it interacts with the mind in ways that you may not have been aware of before. And you can see how kind of there's this special niche in the therapeutic world where we might take some value from some of these techniques. A lot of people aren't just Gestalt therapists, but do like taking certain techniques. For example, talk to your dead grandfather kind of technique, or pointing out some of the nonverbal behaviors and things like that. But it'll be up to you. Again, if you're interested more in Gestalt therapy, I do suggest that you read some of Fritz Perls' works. Maybe check out a workshop. But it's interesting stuff. If you have any questions, please let me know via email or the blog. And just want to thank you for tuning in and participating in all the good blog work. Keep up the good work.